David, today, it's the tone over takey, baby.
The tone over takey?
That's the one, baby. Live from London, England, Europe. It's me, Tony 5, taking over from David Cooper.
All right, repeat after me. Hello and welcome and good evening.
Hello, welcome, and good evening.
It's This Is Going Well, I think, with David Cooper.
This is David Cooper, well, I think.
And I'm David Cooper.
And I am Tony 5.
It's This Is Going Well, I think.
Whatever.
The show where no one's listening, no one cares. The show where every episode's the last episode.
Exactly what the Jewish fella said. That's right. Carry on.
No, you're supposed to repeat it after me. This is going great.
This is going great, I think.
Okay, Tony, shut up for a second. I'm going to tell people what's coming up on the show. In about 10 minutes' time, I'm going to talk to a naturist, a nudist, although they don't like being called nudists, and not just any naturist. This is the president of the International Federation of Naturists. And he's going to tell us all about International Skinny Dip Day, coming tomorrow, Saturday, July the 13th. After that, a psychotherapist to discuss an article in Forbes she recently co-wrote about crushes in relationships. The question is having a crush while you're in a committed relationship, harmless or concerning? We will cover that. After that, Tony 5, our foreign correspondent from London, England, will be back to come back on the show.
That's me then?
Yeah, that's you.
Oh, can I talk? Is this how we do it? Is this what you do? Is this a behind the scenes? So yes, I will be taking over from David Cooper today, live from London, England, in Europe.
No, just you're taking over the next 10 minutes and then you're going to come on the show as normal. That's what I'm trying to explain to people.
Oh, I'm going to come on in the next 10 minutes.
No. I hate you, Tony.
I know. It's so deliberate. It's brilliant.
After Tony 5, we'll have Toronto-based comedian Natalie Norman on to have some fun and joke around. She's hilarious. If you've never heard her on this show, you're going to love her. And I recently was at her karaoke birthday that was absolutely insane. It was off the rails. It was batshit. It was bonkers. And we're going to cover just that. Okay, back to you, Tony. Now repeat after me. That is our show. I hope you enjoy it. But first, this.
But first, this.
No, you have to say, that is our show. I hope you enjoy it. But first, this.
But first, this.
You can't follow instructions, can you? Only news stories of the day here with Tony 5. Tony, we're going to go through some stories of the day together. Are you so excited?
David, I find it a very strange occurrence that I'm right at the top of your show today. Is there no Dan Riskin? Is he not about? Is he busy today? Is that why you've brought me in?
He is in Antigua. I can never say that one right. Where is that, in the Caribbean?
Caribbean island, yeah. Beautiful. Lots of black people.
Oh, you been?
No, we all know it. I mean, we're given at birth a map of everywhere else we all are, and we keep aware of it, you know?
You know where all the majority black nations are?
Correct. There's here, Jamaica, Antigua, and San Francisco. So, it's nice being at the top end of the show. There's people, I mean, I'm guessing there's not a lot of people who listen to the whole of the show and hear me right at the bottom of it. So there's probably people here listening to the dulcet tones of Dan Riskin and all of his sensible things. And now they have to listen to my crap, which is amazing.
Dan's not on the show today. If you're wondering why you're not at the beginning of the show, Tony, you know how you can hear your own voice coming through your headphones right now?
Yeah.
That's the reason you're not on the show.
Fair enough. So let's talk news, David. I love news. Mm-hmm. News loves me, David. There's a lot of news going on in England. What's the news on your side of the proverbial pond, David?
Well, I usually do offbeat stuff at the beginning, and I sort of pretend like it's going to be serious. It's my take on kind of serious radio. But I did see an article called The Mom Mission. It's Moms on Mushrooms. It's a Instagram... Yeah, it's an Instagram account, and there's a profile on them in a paper that I read, and it's basically these moms who take microdoses, occasionally macro doses of magic mushrooms, and they say it makes them better moms, it helps them deal with the stress of motherhood, and they recommend it to everyone. But I think the experts are saying, is this safe? What do you make of that?
I agree completely. These women should be off their heads. They should be crack moms. They should be heroin-based moms. There should be whatever that drug is in San Francisco that they walk around zombies. It's spice. There should be that. Meth moms. I think this could be a new social media phenomenon, David.
Well, I don't think that's fair, because if you're not aware, microdosing mushrooms does have some medical indications. Like, I think it is used to treat people who have depression, who have PTSD, these kinds of things.
Psilocybin or something like that, hasn't it? It's got this sort of active ingredient.
Psilocybin.
That's it, psilocybin, psilocybin, same thing.
Here are the 4 things on the Moms for Mushrooms website that they want to do. Number 1, destigmatize psychedelics, comma, especially for moms.
Does it help with their breastfeeding then? What's this? Why the specialist audience of moms?
I don't know, but I wonder if it would pass the blood breast milk barrier, which is a real scientific thing. You wouldn't want to get your babies high, even if it was good for you, right?
How hilarious would that be? Babies on magic mushrooms. That would be a Netflix show I would watch, David.
Babies already act like they're high on magic mushrooms, though.
Yeah, that would be amazing. Yeah, okay, that's number 1. I like it. I'm with that, David. I support that.
Number 2, promote safe, intentional, and sacred use of psychedelics. Sacred is important, I think.
Now, sacred is the key word there. What does that mean? Do they mean they're going to be dancing in their pants singing Kumbaya, or what?
I think it means they'll be dancing in their underwear singing Kumbaya.
Carry on. I'm with that.
I think people... I mean, there are Aboriginal people in North America that have taken magic mushrooms, although I think it might be more in South America, but they sort of commune with the spirits and they use mushrooms to guide them and this kind of stuff. I think it's an homage to that. I think you do feel a spiritual connection when you're on these substances, me having tried them, but I recognize it for what it is afterward. It's just a feeling the drugs produced. But if some people think it's real and whatever, that's what they think.
A lot of people believe that it is like a connection to the other world, like a spiritual connection. I have read that the guys who invented LSD and that they really did feel that they had opened a portal to a new sort of phase of existence, which is quite interesting. I feel like that when I've had Mexican food.
That's a different portal on a different part of your body.
Yeah.
Number 3, remain in humble service to others always. That's kind of like AA vibes or Narcotics Anonymous vibes.
That's Catholic.
Yeah.
Carry on.
Oh, there it is.
Yeah, I'm with that.
Teach and promote reciprocity, responsibility, and respect. I like that they're using all R words. Reciprocity, responsibility, and respect. I mean, that's a fine message. I don't know what it has to do with mushrooms, though.
I believe I'm one of their group now, David. I stand with all 4 of them. I stand with them, David.
There is a section on the website saying who we are, which it's all boring stuff, moms on mushrooms, destigmatizing all the nonsense. And then it says who we are not. We are not a singular...
Who they're not? Go on.
I love that. I'm going to put that as the mission. When I put the definition of my show, like on the podcast
what
app,
I'm not.
Yeah,
Successful.
what the show is not. Good, successful, listenable. Not containing Tony. We are not a show that does not...
You need to have the 4 R's, though. You haven't got that vibe, that jazz, that marketing. What 4... same letter words are you not? Talented, Tonyfied, talkative, tangible.
Sure. We are not a singular voice with a focus on being a guru. We are not a fast, quick, magic pill approach that feels fad or trend driven. We are not promoting a one-size-fits-all results with magic mushrooms that may not be possible. We are not trying to be everything to everyone. We are not walking around passing out psychedelics to every mom we see. We are not high.
I'm out. It doesn't get my vote. Sorry, I'm out.
How can they claim they're not high? Their whole thing is it's moms getting high.
High, yeah. They really need to work on their advertising campaign.
They certainly do. All right, we got time for one more story here.
Hit me.
Researchers at University of Michigan who are looking into AI are figuring out if they can use AI to read a dog's expressions and barks to try to translate what the dog's saying so that you can communicate at least one way with the dog. It's trying to use AI to figure out what dog vocalizations are so that people can figure out what the dogs are saying. But I'm pretty sure all the dogs are going to be saying is, feed me, pay attention to me, take me out for a walk, I'm bored.
I need to poop.
I need to poop. Yeah, that's a big one. I mean,
people have said before that you can tell on dogs. This has been going on for years, way before AI, when it was just A or I. And I think it's fascinating. If they can work out some correlation between the way a dog looks and what a dog needs to do, that would be amazing. But I love the fact that you don't understand what a dog says. That's one of the lovable qualities of having a dog.
I think you do understand what it says. I gotta poo. I gotta walk.
Yeah.
I want food. I'm bored. Pay attention to me. Love me.
Let's play ball. Let's play. Love me. Cuddle me. Yeah.
People are like, oh, I wish my pet could speak. And I'm like, it would just say the dumbest stuff. They're not smart animals. They love you and they're great, but they're not smart.
No, it's not going to give you stock advice, is it? What on earth is this stock? Oh, he's going to help me with my rental movement. It's going to help me with all my contracts. No, of course not. It's just going to look at you and want to poop, eat, or sleep.
And even when people are like, oh, my dog is so smart, I'm like, okay, your dog is marginally more intelligent than everyone else's dog. It's still really dumb.
Exactly. Correct. I agree. Even when you see the dogs do like the shows where it runs and gets a ball and comes back and it's really smart and it knows the difference between red, yellow, and green balls. David, I can do that.
I know.
Throw a ball, I will go and get it for you and know the colour of it. 8 out of 9 times.
Speaking of things that are just really dumb, Tony, thanks for taking over the beginning of the show. I couldn't think of anyone who I'd rather do Tony's takeover with.
David, it was a fantastic opportunity. Thank you. And I'll put it on my resume.
I guess there's Tony Danza, Tony Soprano. There's a lot of Tonys I'd rather do this with. I wasn't telling the truth. But Tony, thank you.
That's fine. No worries. Enjoy, David Cooper.
Coming up next, a nudist, although he doesn't like being called a nudist, so maybe I'll stop calling him that. A naturist and the first Canadian president of the International Federation of Naturists. He's going to discuss with me tomorrow, Saturday, July the 13th, because it's International Skinny Dip Day. So take off your clothes because you're not going to want to miss this. Saturday, July the 13th, International Skinny Dip Day. We are going to discuss that with the first Canadian president of the International Federation of Naturists, a man I like to talk to often, or as often as I can. His name is Stéphane Deschênes. Stéphane, welcome. I'm excited to chat with you.
Thank you. Me too. It's always a pleasure.
Okay. Can I just say, you are the only guest today that I feel comfortable revealing that I am wearing my underpants during these interviews. You know what?
Why so much?
I feel like...
Well, with me, that's always okay.
Okay, good. I feel like I can get away with the underwear, but without underwear, I should probably ask.
Well, I'm not wearing any underwear.
Fine with me.
Okay, good. It wouldn't be appropriate here. People would have a problem with that.
You are at the Bear Oaks Naturist Preserve in Ontario?
The Bear Oaks Family Naturist Park is the official name. So yes, and I am dressed appropriately for the environment. I'm wearing my work outfit.
Okay, here's why I like you. You got a cool mustache. You're passionate about what you do. And you're into something that I care a lot about, if only indirectly, and that's that people should be able to live however they want, as long as they're not hurting anyone. And that includes any kind of alternative lifestyle. This is what I like about you. But I got to be honest, it's mostly your mustache.
Well, thank you so much. I'll keep it then. I was going to shave it off, but
Some random dude with a microphone said he liked it. That's it. Let's talk Skinny Dip Day. I saw an article on CNN that you were quoted in. That's a kind of a fun media outlet. Skinny Dip Day. Why do we need a day for this?
Well, just because it's fun. Sometimes, people need an excuse to try something or to do something fun. And so by gathering everybody together, it creates an event where we can get together. And people who want to try something for the first time, it's an opportunity. A lot of people are interested in the idea of naturism, but they need some reason to make a decision that today's the day. Otherwise, we'll try it sometime. Well, maybe Skinny Dip Day is the day, and that's the one that finally gets you to come up and have some fun with everybody else. Plus, we raise money for charities and causes, and it's not just here, right? It's an international stuff. It's a person who's organizing it and trying to get as many people to do it at the same time as possible.
Cool. May I ask what charities you guys are trying to raise money for?
The Fistula Foundation.
Okay.
And I'm not sure you want to describe what fistula is, but it's a horrific, as they say, horrific birth trauma that causes body shame in women.
Okay. I'm laughing just because the word fistula sounds funny, not because I find these particular ailments to be hilarious.
Yes, exactly.
Okay, let's talk about your etiquette rules for not just nude beach stuff, not just skinny dipping, but naturism in general. I like them. I got them up in front of me. Do you remember them, or you were kind of quoted and now you got to memorize them? It's like homework.
Well, I mean, they came from me. I couldn't necessarily remember exactly which ones I gave you in order or anything like that. So,
I'm the exact same way. I'll get someone who's heard my show once 3 years ago, and they'll be like, "Remember when you interviewed that one person?" I'm like, I don't even know what.
I mean, the etiquette ultimately is something that applies to everywhere else, right? The only thing that's really unique in terms of naturism is that we sit on a towel. But otherwise, all the etiquettes for behavior about not staring and not commenting on people's bodies and things like that. These are all things that you should do everywhere. It's just good behavior to get along with people.
I agree. I'm going to walk you through your 8 points, but I actually want to sidetrack here because I used to live in San Francisco. I lived there for 10 years. It is a city with naturists in it. The city has had at times a tumultuous relationship with the people that hang around various neighborhoods naked. There's been periods where they've been, told not to by the cops. There's been periods where they fought in court and won and they've been allowed to. One thing that always is a rule, no matter where you are naked in San Francisco, bring a towel, because no one wants to sit down on a park bench where you've been, bare butting.
Well, I don't want to sit down on a park bench with my bare butt either.
Exactly. It's mutual. It's not just the other people, it's you.
Yeah.
But in the Castro district, which there's anywhere from 5 to 20 people that hang around naked on any given day, there was a vagrant, a man dressed as a pirate who had been harassing storekeepers and was accosting a tourist, threatening the tourist with a blowtorch. I don't think the blowtorch was lit yet, but that's a menacing thing to do. Guess what happened?
I don't know.
2 brave naturists stepped in, tackled him, and then they were interviewed by the SF Chronicle, and they said wonderfully uplifting things. They really painted the community as wonderfully, and they were kind of heroes, the 2 of them. So I don't know if you saw that news story, but I wanted to share it with you.
I didn't, but I'm going to go look for it because I think that's fantastic.
Yeah.
Of course, I hope it's not just naturists who would step in. I hope just people in general. We should all strive to be good, involved citizens, no?
I completely agree. I mean,
it made the story particularly because he's wearing, they're not wearing anything. That makes the story even more of a story. Otherwise, maybe it wasn't even a story. I remember a number of years ago, there was a naked man, a naturist, but the headline was "Naked Man Attacked by Alligator in Florida." I bet you in Florida, people are attacked by alligators all the time. But if they're naked, then it's a news story, and which is amusing.
I believe in the headline it was pirate attacked by nudists, or pirate disarmed by nudists. So it wasn't just that they were naked; it's that the man who was acting badly was dressed as a pirate.
Was dressed like a pirate. Whoa!
Yeah, like a headscarf and an eye patch, like the whole deal,
and a blowtorch.
Yes, which is not a traditional instrument of piracy, but I could see how one would pick one up.
No, exactly. But that's the thing, right? Why is it such a big deal that they don't wear clothes? Why do we have such a problem in society? How does it affect anyone, right? I mean, I've had this question. I've asked this question many times. I said, what happens when you see a naked person? Does it hurt? Do you burst into flames? Do you go blind? Why is it such a problem? They're not doing anything, right? We're talking about just looking. We're not talking about being attacked by anybody. The pirate obviously got attacked by somebody, but generally,
I would say apprehended, not necessarily attacked.
Fair enough. Yes. Yeah.
But yeah, no, I think we're on the same page here, but I think it's a conversation worth repeating and repeating and repeating in the hopes that we could just change one person's mind here. One person who thinks that the naked body is this horrible thing that does damage or that is offensive or that is sinful or whatever the logic is, the fallacious logic, in my opinion, and I think yours as well. I think there's some things that just seem really obvious but are worth repeating, and this is one of them. Yeah,
I can walk down the street with a t-shirt that says horrible things I want to do to your mother, and that's perfectly legal and acceptable. But if I read a book naked in my front yard, could get me arrested. I don't understand. I don't understand the values that we have that make the nudity such a bad thing.
I think it's just puritanical BS that has a long lineage in the various religions that our societies have come from. To me, that's probably the big one. Because in ancient Rome and ancient Greece, they were just hanging out naked all the time.
Yeah, the Olympics were nude. The first Olympics were absolutely nude. You see that in all the vases. It's well known. The word gymnasium has the root gymnos, which means nude in Greek. That is still today the word for nude in Greek.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. Yeah, we used to have a much more of a healthy relationship to the human body. Of course, in the days of the Greeks, women had to be covered all the time because they were kind of like possessions. So it certainly wasn't the perfect time if you were a woman because only male athletes competed. But in terms of the attitude towards nudity, it was much healthier. So...
Well, at least they have that in common with us. Not the perfect time to be a woman. That's something we would also like to see changed. But Yeah,
Have you ever asked somebody who's really opposed to nudity in San Francisco why?
No, my community was one of kind of hippies and, all the stereotypes of like I went to this event called, I still do go to this event called Burning Man, where there's a lot of public nudity. It's funny. I got into it with my campmate once because in the morning I went to the porta potty naked. There's naked people everywhere.
Sure.
And his daughter was around. She didn't even see me naked, but he's like, my daughter's here. I'm like, I'm not. I'm just going to pee. Like, I'm not, And I think we just agreed to disagree on that one.
But he probably didn't have a good reason. It just, look, dude, my daughter's here. Yeah, and? Because that's always my question. So, and people say, well, it's indecent. What does that mean? What do you mean? Why? So you're looking at something that is natural that everybody has. I don't. It just doesn't make sense, and I'm not sure why everybody thinks it does. It frustrates me.
We're on the same page here. Okay, well, let's take a quick break. We'll do these 10 or 8 things that people need to do if they go to Skinny Dip for the first time or any kind of naturist preserve, park, area. What's the best word there?
It depends where you're going. Like, we're a park. Bear Oaks is a park.
Mm-hmm.
Beach, if it's a beach. I've never heard preserve before.
Okay, well, I clearly just made that up.
It's not bad. It's not a bad term. I don't dislike it. We don't like colonies. Never say colonies.
Okay, not a nudist colony.
No nudist colonies. That's like really old, and I don't know that nudists ever used that themselves. It just sounds like we're trying to create a separate world, which well, maybe we are, but most of us live in the real world.
It sounds like you're a bunch of ants crawling around.
Yeah, that's true. Good point.
We're here with Stéphane Deschênes. He is the first Canadian president of the International Federation of Naturists. We're ostensibly talking about how tomorrow is Skinny Dip Day, but a little bit more as well. We are back. Tomorrow, July the 13th, is International Skinny Dip Day. We're talking to a president. Is it co-president or just president? Because when I looked it up, there's two of you.
We are both have the title of presidents, so we are effectively co-presidents, but we both have the title of presidents as we transition from one to the other. In October, I will likely, I don't know, but I will likely be reelected for my second term, and Sieglinde will be retiring, and so that will be the only president.
Okay, so president, co-president, double president, other president of the International Federation of Naturists. I actually invited you on this show to do a smear campaign in the hopes that you wouldn't get elected. That is not true at all. How many voting members are there? Like, how many people will vote for you or vote in this election?
There are 37 countries, if I remember correctly, but the voting is based on the number of members each federation has. So the largest federation is the Dutch with around 40,000 members, and they have the most votes. And then there's some that only have a few 100 or a couple hundred members, and you don't get one vote per member. It's an interesting calculation. They take the square root of the members, and it's a bit more complicated. But it means that the bigger you are, the votes don't grow as fast. So it's kind of a reversed exponential growth,
logarithmic growth, if you will.
Logarithm, yes, exactly.
Wow.
So that you don't. It's kind of neat because whoever thought this out means that the smaller federations get the first 3, 4, 5 votes very quickly, but then the big ones don't so overwhelm the smaller ones that it's almost pointless.
And then we end up with the electoral college system, and Trump is elected as president of the International Federation of Naturists.
He could probably do a lot less damage there.
Yeah, you'd think. I don't even know what to say. You mentioned the Dutchies being the biggest voting bloc. I was talking before the break about some people I camp with at this festival where I'd say 20% of people are nude all the time. Them not being comfortable with my nudity because they're a family. They are Dutch, which is so strange to me. I guess you can't peg people.
They all drop their clothes at the drop of a hat.
Yeah. Anyway, not important. Okay, 8 reasons or 8 things you can do if you're interested in going to a naturist reserve, or rather than jam, you like preserves. Preserve. Number 1, do your research. What does that mean? Just Google it?
Just learn and make sure you're getting what you're getting. I mean, sometimes people misrepresent what is naturism. There are sometimes sex clubs call themselves naturist club, and fine, I don't have no problem with a sex club. That's what people want to do. Just let's be honest. I don't like it when they call themselves naturist club to hide the fact they're a sex club. That's all. So making sure that it is what you're looking for. If you're looking for a sex club, cool. If you're not, make sure you don't go to one. If you're just looking for pure naturism, and understand the rules. Different clubs have different rules. Some clubs still don't like single men, and because well, I'm not going to get into it because that's because I don't fully agree with that. But that's still a rule in some places. So try to make sure you understand where you're going and what the rules are before you show up, so you're not disappointed.
Also true for sex clubs, where you have to either come as a couple or more women than men, but you can't come as single men. I've heard this is true.
Right.
I feel like if I ever went to a sex club, they would just shut it down. They'd be like, that guy, no, this isn't cool anymore. We're out. Number 2, take the plunge. Maybe this is more appropriate for skinny dip days. That mean I just jump in the water?
Well, you do, yes. And you just got to do it. You got to come and take your clothes off. That's what the point is, right? So you've got to do it. And it's a matter of making a decision, which is easier said than done because it's a big phobia for people. And it's really hard. Like, I don't want to underestimate. I understand. It causes anxiety. People are super anxious driving up to Bear Oaks for their first time, even if they've decided what to do. It has nothing to do with logic. We all know it's not going to hurt. We all know you're not going to come to harm for being naked. It's the somehow deep down, it's this like, no, you're not supposed to. It's just like when you have phobia about heights or whatever. It's that same irrational emotional response. So do it. Just do it. Take the plunge.
And if you go to a place where it's okay for you to be not nude, I mean, are there places where it's sort of expected or you have to be nude?
Yes, at Bear Oaks you have to be nude because we're trying. We it's a bit of a sorting mechanism to make sure that people who are there for the right reason. There are clubs that are clothing optional. Mm-hmm. And that's fine too. That for some people love that as they can do whatever they want. Bring their partner or friend that doesn't want to take their clothes off and they still hang out together. I understand that, but the problem is it does then attract sometimes people who are just there to be voyeurs, sure. And that kind of kills the vibe.
Certainly, I imagine it does. There is a banya, a Russian banya in San Francisco that's a bit different than most banyas. It's co-ed and it's nude. And I remember bringing a friend there, a woman, and she wanted to wear a bathing suit. And so I'm like, okay, whatever. It's a clothing optional, and or bathing suit optional. And I remember halfway through, she got naked, and what she said to me is, it was everyone else treating it like it was so not a big deal and like not noticing or caring that really made it comfortable for me. And so that's why I recommend maybe going to an optional place, because you'll see it's just such not a big deal. And all your anxieties are very much like in your own head at that point.
And we tell people that they can take time to adjust. We don't expect them to drop their clothes the moment they walk in the front door. We say don't just walk around fully dressed thinking you're better than everybody else. That's going to upset people too. Find a quiet corner and make a decision. You can hang out and decide. And yeah, usually that gives people this feeling that they can back out if they want to. But like you said, most of them, they show up and they go, yeah, no big deal. Yeah, I'm doing it.
It just doesn't matter to the people who are there. You know what I mean? Like, I think that it's so built up in your mind. Everyone's going to look at me. Everyone's going to judge me. And it's like, no, nobody. Just people just.
The hardest part is the drive in. It's not seeing the naked people or being naked, and nobody believes that until they experience it. But the hardest part is that anxiety as you approach the front gate.
All right, number 3, we're definitely going to get through these 8. Keep your distance. What does that mean? Just don't bother people.
Space is important. You gotta, sometimes people, young men approach young women, whatever, because they want to. You gotta respect people. Now, you can't sit right next to somebody that you don't know. And when people are naked, they have an even bigger sense of what is an appropriate distance between people. Some of it's cultural, right? There's some cultures where people are very close to each other. Others where you need a little bit more space, but certainly make sure you are so close that people think you might touch them or something. There's nothing wrong specifically theoretically, but when you're not used to nudity, especially, you don't want somebody to touch you. That just can freak you out a little bit.
Yeah. And I feel like if you're going to these places to pick up, I mean, if you meet someone and you like each other, sure, fine. I'm not saying don't hook up, but you shouldn't be going to these places to pick up.
That is not the objective, and you're going to upset people if that's your expectation, for sure.
I can see why that would be true. Don't stare or take photos. That one just seems obvious. I feel like that's true for not just being in public, too. If you're at a coffee shop, don't stare at your neighbor and start photographing him.
Well, so is keep your distance between people, right? I mean, these are all. I was saying in the beginning. It seems like natural, normal things that we would all get along well if we followed these basic concepts of interhuman relationships.
Following from that, don't comment on people's bodies, again, with their privacy.
Right.
This next one I'm interested in, though. Unwanted arousal isn't the problem that you think it is. What does that mean?
Well, first of all, because that's the big fear. That's the fear, that number one fear that men have. But it is not a problem because most men don't get an erection when they come to a nature spark. Because they're nervous. And two, because it's not a sex thing and it doesn't look like any sex thing any porn they've ever watched. It doesn't look like that at all.
It's not a sexual environment, is what I've come to realize.
No. And there's nudist porn, which it trust me, it doesn't look like that. If you've seen that, it's not what it looks like.
But regular porn doesn't look like sex. So I mean, it would stand to reason that nudist porn doesn't look like a naturist reserve. Park.
Exactly. But can I go back to the last one? Because I think that's an important one. Commenting on other people's bodies. Like, we actually do that all the time in mainstream society. And I don't think we should do it there either. But in naturism, it's particularly important because it's about body acceptance. But what makes you think that you can comment and tell somebody, like, telling a woman she has a nice body is actually sort of a compliment, but it's not. It can upset many of them because they're tired of being judged first on what they look like and not who they are. Mm-hmm. And people think that you're being nice by telling them they look hot or they have a nice body. But talk to women if you think that's true, because they'll tell you it's exhausting. It's exhausting to spend your life being treated as an object that exists for the visual pleasure of others.
Absolutely. And I've taken to stopping commenting on my friends when they start working out a lot and they have changes in their body. I'll never tell someone who's made changes to their body like that, you look great. Because what's implied is you didn't look great before, and that's not how I feel. And I don't want people thinking like I think they have some sort of value because they work out or whatever. So yeah, commenting on people's bodies. Not my thing.
My rule is if it's something they choose to do, you can compliment them or comment on it. So you commented on my mustache. Well, I chose to have a mustache and I maintain it. And I can say, I like your haircut, or I like the glasses you picked. These are choices you make. So it's okay. That makes sense to comment on it. Telling you that you have nice abs.
Now I feel bad for objectifying your mustache, Stéphane.
Yeah, thank you.
Okay, well, we got a couple more. Don't get your alternative lifestyles confused. You sort of said that at the beginning. There are those who sort of masquerade as naturists, but really it's kind of like a sex club, which is fine. Power to them, but do your research and then enjoy your experience. And if you do, explore more. Where can people find out more about you and naturism and the International Federation of Naturists?
Well, there's, of course, websites. You can easily Google it. The INF has a website, inf-fne.org. FNE is the French version versus the English-German version. Bare Oaks, of course, bareoaks.ca. You can search us. We're everywhere. Got lots of information, easy to find. And but it doesn't have to be us. Find a place near you, because there are lots of places around, and find the place that's right for you. Because to the last point you were saying about don't mix up your lifestyles, it's okay to be a baseball player and it's okay to be a tennis player, but don't try to play baseball on a tennis court. These are different sports and they belong in different places. And it's the same thing with naturism and anything else you might be looking for.
Stéphane, it's always a pleasure talking to you.
Thank you.
Stéphane Deschênes, he's the first Canadian president of the International Federation of Naturists. And tomorrow, try skinny dipping. It's International Skinny Dip Day. Coming up next, based on a recent article in Forbes, the question was posed: are crushes in your long-term relationships harmless or deeply concerning? We will talk to a psychotherapist on this and figure out whether it's okay to have a crush on someone else. There is a great article in Forbes. The article poses the question: are crushes in relationships harmless or concerning? We're going to talk to someone who co-wrote that article. She is a psychotherapist and clinical director and co-founder of Awake Therapy. Her name is Jourdan Travers. Jourdan, thanks for joining me today.
Not a problem. I'm happy to have had the invitation.
So this, I feel like, is always a controversial topic when I'm around friends. Are crushes okay when you're in a long-term relationship? I think you get a lot of opinions, but not a lot of experts. I guess let's take a step back. What inspired you to write this article about crushes in relationships in the first place?
Well, I should also know I am not a psychologist, but my husband is, and we did write the article together. But I will say, crushes, there's no need to feel guilty about having a crush. It's harmless and it's normal. It starts to become, though, problematic when there's a sign that you're missing something in your partnership and you're fantasizing that having a crush is the answer to all of your problems instead of communicating those concerns with your partner.
I like the way you frame that, because I always think thought crime is something one can't be guilty of. Like, just because you look at someone, you're like, hey, they're attractive, my body's responding to them. How can you control that? How can you expect your partner not to do that? But it's really the actions that I think we should be evaluating others on. And if someone's spending time fantasizing, kind of wasting time, infatuation, is that where the problems can start to begin?
So, having a crush doesn't automatically mean that one thing will lead to another, right? I'm fantasizing about this person, so we might be having sex later. That doesn't mean that's going to happen. But it also is a sign, or could be a sign, that there are issues in the partnership that you might not feel safe or comfortable expressing. And it can be a problem too when, let's say, you work with this person or you have interactions with them and you're starting to give the crush more attention, right? Of, well, maybe I'm wanting to get to work earlier because I want to spend time with them. Or maybe we communicate with each other and I'm wanting to text them more. That's a sign of, okay, there might be issues in the partnership that I'm uncomfortable or unwilling to address. So I'm letting my fantasy start to take hold, or I'm having the fantasy become more of a priority.
It's interesting. I feel like with most big controversial questions, the answer is yes and no. So let's dive into this end. When the fantasy is becoming a problem, what are some signs that a crush is indicative of deeper problems in a relationship?
Well, I think a sign really is kind of that communication piece, or if there's something else going on. Maybe it's, okay, my partner and I are, I don't know, planning a trip or a remodel, let's say that, and we're arguing incessantly, right? The crush is typically a symptom, right? It's, oh, this person isn't arguing with me, they're attractive. It's easy to see, like, oh, okay, it might force me to think about myself more. Of finding someone else attractive might propel me to say, you know what, I want to have a positive impact on others. I want other people to maybe look at me and say, what is she doing? Or that she takes pride or ownership of her appearance and how she presents herself, right? Crushes can do that. And that's not necessarily problematic or a bad thing. But when the crush is starting to turn into, my fantasy is turning more into an idea of an affair, right? Of, how could I be around this person? I'm using an affair like, you're married. But even if it's a partnership, right, I'm having a fantasy of cheating and I'm opening the door for that potentiality to perhaps come to fruition. There's a difference.
So how can we prevent our crushes, innocent enough ones, from turning into the idea of affair, to turning into something where being too infatuated is becoming a problem? I know the article mentions boundaries. I wonder, is there any secret to not letting this stuff get out of hand?
Well, I think, right, so then you also oftentimes hear that question of, like, should I tell my partner about my crush? Well, I think that depends, right? I think the first thing to consider is, what's motivating you to share this with them, right? Are you wanting to share this with them because you feel like you need a sense or a layer of accountability? Are you sharing this with them because you hope it might hurt their feelings away? Like, you're wanting to not only stab them, but maybe twist the blade. Or maybe you guys have discussed having an open relationship and you're wanting to inject some honesty and transparency into a conversation around that. There's a lot of different entry points here, but having a crush, I think that's a big thing too. This idea of just having a crush is vehemently wrong and bad and it shouldn't happen. No, crushes are, it's any feeling of attraction or infatuation towards someone other than your partner, right? And crushes, and psychologists have long said, right, this is common and it's not necessarily indicative of a dissatisfaction in the current relationship. It's different when it's becoming an obsession, right? Crushes and obsessions are different. And managing a crush ultimately comes down to open communication and having boundaries. No one can tell you this is the boundary you need to have, this is what you need to do. There's some nuance there, but it's asking yourself, like, okay, am I concerned that this crush could potentially lead to emotional or physical infidelity? Or is this crush leaning to, veering towards, I want to give them more attention, which would cause some significant distress for your partner, potentially.
Interesting. You mentioned that it is totally normal, and I would completely agree with that. Is it even something you can control? Like, is developing these mild crushes where you have boundaries, where you don't act out, where you don't obsess, is it even within our control? I would say no, it isn't.
Right. No, we are designed to, we're going to find other people attractive. This idea that I'm with someone and I'm never going to find another person attractive again, that's ridiculous. That's impossible. That is humanly impossible. And there is a difference between, oh, I think, my new barista, Becky, is attractive and I like to maybe flirt and say, oh, you spelled my name, or whatever it might be, something innocuous, versus, okay, I want to ask Becky out for dinner and drinks and I want to see where this, how this plays out and evolves. Also, I should note too that this is important to discuss. Our fantasy about a person is often much more enjoyable than the real thing. I mean, research even shows too that the first time you have sex with someone, it's often not as hot and steamy and enjoyable as you fantasize it would be. Right? It's like the idea.
No, it can be awful. I got IBS. Right. I got to eat white rice for a week just to not fart. Like sex is gross and it's stressful and it's new people and new experiences. I agree with that completely. But I want to rewind a bit to not being able to control it. If we can't control it, we shouldn't be judged for it. And that's why I think if we're going to judge others, our partners, based on these crushes, it has to be based on their actions, not on their thoughts. I feel like I've been to therapy so much, and it's this whole idea that you can't control your impulses, but you can control your behavior.
Absolutely. And also, if you're someone who is really struggling with that, if, oh, I'm having this thought and this means that I'm maybe this type of person, maybe you should talk to someone, right? That we all need a space where we can feel seen and heard and respected, because many of us don't have those spaces outside of therapy, right? We don't feel safe sharing those thoughts and concerns for whatever reason. And as humans, we need spaces to do that.
I agree. I want to also rewind to what you were saying about reasons for telling your partner. You said one might be for provoking jealousy, one might be to broach the topic of an open relationship. But when my partner shares with me that she's got a crush on someone, honestly, I just think it's cute. Like, I think that's nice for her. And I just don't think it's a big deal. And I don't know why more people don't take that kind of approach. Like, I trust her to set boundaries and not cross them. And I just think it's nice that she has a little excitement in her afternoon while she's talking to Becky, the barista, who is not her crush. But I love that your example was named Becky, side note. What do you make of that? Do you think that's how people should take it? Just think it's cute and nice for their partner?
Well, I think you also said something that's really important too. You said, right, I trust that it's cute, right? That she has the boundary and a line, and it would just be, a simple crush and fantasy. Not that she would say, okay, how can I meet this person and open the door for something to potentially unfold, right? Trust and honesty are the cornerstones of any relationship and any partnership. And I think the bigger question is that if you don't trust that your partner could keep it as just a crush, or you don't trust that your partner is being honest with you, that's indicative of a entirely different and separate issue.
All right. Well, the article that Jourdan Travers co-wrote with her husband is in Forbes. It's titled, "Are Crushes in Relationships Harmless or Concerning? A Psychologist Answers." Jourdan, thanks for discussing this with me. I appreciate your time.
Oh, anytime. Again, thank you.
Jourdan Travers is a psychotherapist and clinical director and co-founder of Awake Therapy. In a few moments' time, foreign correspondent Tony Five from London, England is going to join us to do some political commentating, and we're going to discuss not one, not three, but two gaffes from U.S. President Biden. One, he called the president of Ukraine Putin. Two, he called his vice president Trump. Man, he's really slipping. And Tony Five's going to tell you all about it in a moment. We are back with foreign correspondent Tony Five to do some political commenting, commentating.
That's the one.
He's going to make comments about the political situation here. Tony, welcome to the show.
David, I've revised over the Groupon I've had for political commentary, as we say here in the UK. I'm commentating on your existing grandfather of a president calling another president of Ukraine, President Putin. It was phenomenal.
But it was a twofer. Not just did he call Zelensky, the president of Ukraine, Putin, who's their adversary, who they're trying to defeat.
Who's killing them, basically, yeah.
Yeah, basically he's invaded their country. It's not the nicest thing to do.
I thought of worse things.
When someone does something nice for me, I maybe get them flowers, maybe a cupcake,
yep,
ice cream,
yep,
even a card.
Yep.
Invading your country it's really not a nice thing to do.
I don't think they've got a card for "sorry, I've invaded your country" yet, but we could ask Hallmark.
We could. Maybe that's a new startup idea for you and I. Cards for presidents of countries to send to other ones when they're not being very nice. But not only did he do that gaffe, he also called Vice President Kamala Harris Vice President Trump. Like, he's calling the wrong people the wrong names, but he's calling them the opposite names. Maybe he just thinks it's opposite day, but the media are having a field day with this. And everyone who kind of was starting to shut up about asking him to step down, they're all speaking up again. And the ones who never did shut up are being like, we were right all along.
Do you know, it's gone from being anecdotal, funny, meme-worthy, to actually, for me, it's quite sad now. It's like when you've run over an animal and you just want to kind of put him out of its misery. It's now no longer humorous. It's just kind of, oh my God, what is he going to do next? Is he going to accidentally sort of fall asleep and push the nuclear button, thinking that it's like hemorrhoid cream? What's going to happen?
Well, I don't know. Is him accidentally pushing it because he's having dementia the same as Trump intentionally pushing it because someone called him a bad name? I don't know.
I don't know.
You want to play the clip? Let's hear it. It's painful to watch.
It's yeah.
And now I want to hand it over to the president of Ukraine, who has as much courage as he has determination. Ladies and gentlemen, President Putin. President Putin. He's going to beat President Putin. President Zelensky. I'm so focused on beating Putin, we got to worry about it. Anyway, Mr. President.
I'm better.
You are a hell of a lot better.
I like Zelensky. He's like, I'm better than Putin.
Yeah, he comes across as Borat. I am better. It's me, Zelensky, not Putin. Yeah, that was good. I like that. Have you got the Kamala Harris one?
His way to yeah, I do have it. His way to scramble at the end and just be like, oh, I was wrong. I'm so focused on trying to beat him. I got his name wrong. You know what? If it
that was bad.
Yeah, it's like if any one of these things happen, I'd be like, fine, Freudian slip, happens to all of us.
Yeah.
But it's happening so much, it's worrisome.
Well, it's daily, isn't it now? It's a daily occurrence. It's really sad.
The Democratic Party really needs to just start thinking about who they're going to replace him with. And just
get George Clooney on board.
Oh, I do like George Clooney. Handsome. And George Clooney famously had potbelly pigs for pets.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. George Clooney, potbelly pigs.
What for? What, did he eat them?
No, he kept them as pets.
That's amazing. If you could love George Clooney anymore, knowing that he had potbelly pigs makes him even more lovable. He could be a good president.
Yeah, he would just like hang out. Where does he live again? I mean, he lives in the U.S., but he also has a spot. I think
Lake Como.
Lake Como. I was going to say Cuomo.
Lake Como, yeah.
The Cuomo's like the news guy in New York, and his brother, who used to be a politician.
Quick question.
Yep.
If you could pick somebody to 3 people instead of Joe Biden, because I don't really know US politics, who would you pick?
My brother-in-law, my brother's husband, really wants Deepak Chopra and Oprah to run, not because he particularly likes the two of them, but he really wants to vote for an Oprah Chopra ticket.
Nice.
I would like to see Jon Stewart be president.
I knew you'd say that. Okay, who else?
And I know he's just a comedian and a political commentator, and he hosted that show on, and he's doing once a week now, that show on Comedy Central, The Daily Show. Mm-hmm. But if you watch him, he was in New York on 9/11.
Was he?
And if you watched, and he went to Congress to fight for New Yorkers, firefighters, civil servants who had been poisoned by the gas, not the gas.
I saw this, yep.
The rubble. I mean,
yeah.
it was toxic, the stuff that is in a building when it goes in your lungs, not so good for you. So all these people were getting cancers and stuff, and the state of New York and the federal government were leaving them high and dry.
I know, I saw that, yeah. And he really fought for them. Really impassioned speech in Congress or wherever it was, yeah.
And he spoke out against the government that was doing nothing, and it really didn't serve him at all. He was really just fighting for like working class civil servants, like firefighters, cops, these kinds of things. Not that I like the NYPD, but I do like the NY Fire Department. Side note, don't let them in your apartment ever. They will destroy it, but they will save your life. And they are so handsome, Tony.
Okay.
Have I told you this? I've talked about this on my show before.
What happened?
There was a little mini electrical fire in one of the units in my building. Just, I think a mouse or something got caught in a wire and fried.
Nice.
But it filled the apartment with smoke. There was no visible fire, but of course the fire department came. Mm-hmm. And they are so handsome, Tony.
Really? Is it annoyingly handsome? Are they annoyingly handsome?
They are like a parody. Like hot fighters are a stereotype.
Yeah.
And then on a TV show, you'll see like really hot guys who are just models and actors, not really firefighters, playing firefighters.
Shirts off, 6-pack.
Yeah. And
beautiful hair.
And you think this is an exaggeration. Well, I'll tell you this much. It's an under-exaggeration because not only are the New York Fire Department that hot, okay, but they are fucking working class, like, they aren't model actor types. They're just hot regular people, and that makes them hotter. Yeah.
Wow.
But back to my story.
Okay.
I don't even know where I was going.
You were talking about you were talking about Jon Stewart.
Oh yeah, thank you for reminding me. He fought for the firefighters. Side note, they're very attractive. And to me, that's what a patriot is,
Okay.
To me, that's what a patriot is.
I like that. But who else then? Who realistically, that's the word I was trying to get. Jon Stewart can't do it, but realistically, who do you think at this late stage?
That's the question.
How would they do it? Because I don't even know who the options are. I don't know if there are options. Are there people like reserves? How does it work in the States? Is it like a deputy candidate? How does it work?
Well, technically, you're voting for these electoral college delegates, and then they cast the vote for the president. So the ticket could be swapped last minute, and you still technically vote. It's not like, we have to get his name on the ballot. Like you're voting for these delegates, and the delegates are party aligned, and they vote for whoever the party nominates.
Okay.
So I think a president could be swapped out last minute. I mean, I'd like to see Bernie Sanders, but he's a million.
Is he much older? Has he got more marbles or less marbles than Joe?
I mean, he's got more marbles than Joe. I mean, Bernie Sanders is like, he's also a patriot. I mean, on the March on Washington, like the civil rights movement, he was like there getting arrested in like the 60s, man. He was there. He's like legit, and he cares about people. He cares about the people. You know what I'm saying?
What about Kamala Harris?
She's great. I mean, she was kind of a nasty prosecutor in San Francisco. Like, she threw a lot of people in jail. She was an elected government official. She was like the district attorney, I guess. Oh,
DA. What about Barack Obama's wife, Michelle Obama?
Is she political? I mean, she's cool, but I don't know anything about her politically.
Okay. Barack can't come back, can he?
No, you can only serve 2 terms.
What about George Bush? Did he serve 2?
Yes, he served 2, yeah.
Oh.
Trump only served 1, though.
Is he about... Oh, Trump's still there? Yeah. I just find it very strange. What about Ronald Reagan? Can he bring him back?
I was actually watching Last Week Tonight with John Oliver.
John Oliver, I like him.
And he was talking about how awful Ronald Reagan was. And he's like, Ronald Reagan was an awful president who did horrible things, but I do want to say he did do one really great thing for the country, and I have to give him credit. I want to say, and this fact is true, in 2004, he died. Which I thought was so funny.
Wow. Yeah. He's a British comedian, John Oliver, but has gained absolute popularity in the US. It's amazing.
Yeah, he's got...
not a lot of people know him in the UK.
Yeah. I mean, he kind of came up on The Daily Show. Now he's got a weekly show on HBO called Last Week Tonight. It's a great show. It's sort of half political commentary and half comedy, and it's a good show. I like it, yeah.
The Daily Show used to be with Trevor Noah. Who hosts it now, then?
It's a rotating cast of fill-ins, which I kind of like, but on Mondays it's Jon Stewart, who is not the original host of the show. He inherited it from someone else, but he was, for all intents and purposes, the original host of the show.
He made the show. Yeah, he was very, very good. And I saw him present an award to Dave Chappelle, and he's so articulate, such a smart man. He's I do like Jon Stewart.
I really want him to be president. Okay, we'll be back with more Tony 5 and more of whatever this is as we play President Biden's second gaffe of the week, where he called Vice President Harris Trump. We are here with Tony 5 discussing politics. Tony is an accomplished political commentator. Tony, welcome back.
David, I'm politically political and politically incorrect, even when I am correct, David.
We were talking about Biden calling people the wrong things this week. Let's hear another gaffe that he did.
Do it.
I wouldn't have picked Vice President Trump to be vice president, but I think she was not qualified to be president. So let's start there. Number one. The fact is that the consideration is that I think I'm the most qualified person to run for president. I beat him once, and I will beat him again.
Yeah, he's not doing great. He's not
doing great. It's like watching your old granddad dodder and wet his pants.
Yeah. Yeah.
And he's slowly smelling more and more of urine each day.
How old is he?
104?
He is born in 42. So Bernie Sanders is actually a year older than him. But Bernie's way more with it. Like, he's only 81. There are a lot of spry, sharp 81-year-olds. Biden is just not one of them.
No, and they said that he'd had people come to see him and do sort of capacity tests and tests for like Parkinson's and Alzheimer's and dementia, and he's passed all the tests. But I'm thinking, who is he bribing? I mean, it's quite clear that he's not well. You know, he's not well. He's not compos mentis. He hasn't got his marbles back. I mean, should that person be, you know, in charge of so many things? I don't know. It's really sad to watch. And I don't know, is he going to go, or will he be pushed type thing, you know?
I don't know. I also think it's very hard when an incumbent president wants to run for a second term. I don't know if it's ever happened where the party has kicked them off the ballot. And if it has, it's rare. And we're talking like once every 100 years level.
Wow.
It's because they sort of already lead the executive arm of the party. It's like you can't kick them off the ticket. And because presidential terms are capped at 2, 8 years for 2 4-year terms, I don't think there's, like in the UK, a prime minister can run forever. So there's a real, if the party wants to stay in power and the party's looking to stay in power and they've got the vote, but they just need to get rid of their leader, they can do it. But in the US, it's kind of different because the president is elected separate from the legislature. It's a different election process. It's a different, So I don't know how you kick them off other than some sort of coup. I don't mean like violent coup. I don't mean literal coup, but party coup,
It's a very strange situation. Do you get an opportunity to vote then because you're based in America, or not because you're Canadian?
Yeah, so I'm not American. I am eligible to apply to become American in exactly 1 year.
Are you going to do it?
Yes, I think so, but not for the reason you think. It's not.
I'm thinking for the Burger King voucher.
Exactly. It's not for the Burger King voucher. It's not for the McDonald's voucher. It's not for the free tickets to Disneyland to eat those awful turkey legs. Have you ever been to Disneyland?
Yeah. No, but I've heard of the turkey legs, though. That sounds amazing.
It's
and
horrific.
The burger nachos or something. They do burger spring rolls when you walk in. Apparently, they're the best thing ever.
I haven't had those. But I, as a 9-year-old Canadian boy who grew up in Toronto, watching slovenly, entitled Americans like out of a document, like out of a movie making fun of Americans. The worst stereotype of Americans, the kinds of people you don't see in Canada, you know?
Right, okay.
Hanging around Disneyland, stuffing their face with a gigantic smoked turkey leg. It's horrific. Horrific. It's like nothing you've ever seen before.
It does sound like an amazing way to die, though, if I'm being honest.
What, from the heart attack you get?
Just the heart attack, maybe choking on the ham leg. I don't know. But it does sound pretty amazing to do.
Anyway, the reason I want to become American. A lot of foreigners want an American passport because they need a visa. Like if you're from somewhere in Asia, you need a visa to go to the UK. But if you have an American passport, you don't. So it's a less restrictive travel ticket, I guess. Mm-hmm. Some people want it for that. Some people want it so that their kids can become American because if you're American, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
There's a lot of reasons why people get it, but I've already got a passport where I can travel almost everywhere. And I have a permanent resident card, so they can't kick me out of the country,
Yep, strong. You're going out with a ginger person that gives you the ginger card.
I got the ginger card.
You know me, black.
I know one black person.
Yep, it's nice.
No, I wanted to leave because when you have a green card, if you leave the country for 6 months or a year, they can take it away because it doesn't give you the right to take up residence elsewhere. They will take away your permanent residence if you set up residence in another country. I can travel, obviously. I could leave for a month or whatever, but if somebody I know who's close to me got sick and I wanted to go to Canada to take care of them or something happened, like I can't leave right now. I lose my permanent residence, and to get that thing again, it's a whole journey. It took me like 8 years to get.
Oh, but if you had a green card, you could do that.
Citizenship. Once you have citizenship, you can leave. So I have a friend who's from the Middle East who literally got American citizenship so he can move back to his Middle Eastern country.
Brilliant.
And then come back to the U.S. in 5 years. I'm becoming American so I can leave America.
I mean, if that's not one of the adverts that should be on every radio station, every commercial outlet, get an American citizenship so you can leave the country, I think everybody would pick up on it.
Well, it's the right to be a citizen of the country forever, and that's what I'm signing up for. But I don't need any of those benefits. I mean, voting, I guess, would be nice, although two-party system, what is really like,
I know, right? That's a weird thing, a two-party system as well.
So weird. And then the third-party candidate is really a fourth-party candidate because he's got a brain worm, RFK.
Nice.
Yeah.
Oh.
He should run on the presidential ticket is RFK Jr., vice president brainworm of RFK. What do you think?
Yeah, I like that. I like brainworms.
So I don't know what's going to happen with this election. I think the Democrats have a real opportunity if they're smart, which they're not, and they work hard, which they won't, getting someone on the ticket that is just amazing, that blows Trump out of the water.
Yeah.
That there's got to be, of the 300, 400 million people that live in the United States, there's got to be someone.
David, when you say things like that to me, it freaks me out because I'm thinking this is their opportunity. They could put a stuffed toy there, and if he said 2 or 3 sentences that made sense, he would win. But yet they don't want to do it. They've got an open goal and they don't want to take the kick. I don't understand. I just don't understand why.
I don't know how much they can throw Biden off the ticket. He's already been nominated. He's got to step down. He's got to get forced to step down. But Trump has set a real precedence of you don't have to listen to your advisors. You don't have to listen to the people around you. If you don't like what they say, fire them. If you don't like what this government official's doing, fire them. So I wonder if Biden's just going to be defiant and stay on the ticket because that's what he thinks is right. And
try and fire them as well.
Yeah. I mean, there's no evidence to suggest he will do that, but maybe they should do it through his wife because she's like an accomplished.
She's the doctor, right? She's really smart.
She's like
Jill Biden.
An accomplished academic. She's got a level head. I wonder if they can convince her. She can convince him.
I would hope so, but why isn't she stepping up and going, look, guy, let's go to Miami. Let's retire. Florida's great.
Florida is great. Florida, is that where you want? Okay, Florida, that's where they could go to retire. We got a couple minutes left. Where would you go to retire if you could?
Oh, I've always told you that when I leave and when I finished my time here, I would like to buy a lighthouse, have a big dog, and a gun.
You have never said that, and you've not always said that. That's the first time I've
told you that. So I'm going to show you a picture on the back of my phone, which you could probably see. But there's like a lighthouse. I don't know whether you can see that, or is it a bit faded?
It doesn't matter. I see it. It's a lighthouse, yeah.
So it's a lighthouse, and I want to buy that and live there. That's what I want to do with my life.
You want to be
I
a
want to buy a
lighthouse keeper?
lighthouse.
Or an inactive
I want to live in a
lighthouse?
lighthouse. I want to live in a lighthouse, an active lighthouse. I've just always found it romantic. And when I get a big gun, so if anybody comes to visit me, I can shoot them and have a dog that I could,
So I guess you'll have to move to the United States because I feel like you can't have a lighthouse gun in the UK.
I can get a gun. I can get a lighthouse. The dog would be difficult. No, the gun would be difficult. The dog would be fine. But lighthouse, I liked all the ones near like Cape Cod in Boston and places like that. It's always a kind of a romantic feeling of living like that. So yeah, that's what I'd like to do. Who?
I don't know. Your phone's...
I heard somebody talking just there, David. Is this the ghost of Joe Biden?
No, it's your computer.
My computer? I'm not near my computer.
It's your phone or your computer.
Oh, it's the Ring doorbell.
I hate you so much. All right, go about your day. That's our show. Tony, thanks for doing this with me. And thank you for, I don't know what.
David, this has been a wonderful, wonderful journey into the mind of David Cooper.
Sure. Tony 5, foreign correspondent. He's here every week for better or mostly worse.
Arrivederci.
Coming up next, my friend, Toronto-based comedian Natalie Norman, to talk about comedy stuff, to laugh, and to talk about karaoke. Because she recently turned 38 and had a karaoke birthday, and it was bat crazy. You're not going to want to miss her and I discussing that in a few moments. She is here, Toronto-based comedian, extraordinaire, lifesaver, friend, recently 38 turned person, Natalie Norman in Toronto. Did I already say Toronto-based? Did I already? Toronto? Yeah.
Yes, you did. And I can't believe you revealed my age.
All right, let's try that again. Natalie Norman, she's 25.
Well, that's not a lie.
I love you. I had a lot of fun at your birthday party recently.
Did you? Because you looked miserable.
What is wrong with you? That's just my face.
No, your face right now is smiling. You looked miserable.
It's all right. You can swear, Natalie. You can swear.
Okay, well, you looked miserable and it concerned me. And because I'm the kind of person that wants everyone to feel good, I was like, what's going on?
I feel like you singled me out.
Yes.
To make sure I was having a good time a little bit more than your average friend. I mean, you had your besties there. You were for sure more attentive and you liked them better. But I feel like I was in your second rung of close friends, which made me feel really nice.
I don't even think I think you're in the first. It's
What?
just you don't know as many people.
I'm in your first rung of besties?
I mean, I really...
That can't be true. Come on.
Now I feel embarrassed. No, okay, well, sure, you're in the second run.
You're in my first rung of besties, but it's because I have no friends.
Well, sorry I included you.
No, it was a lot of fun. I recently found out that I love karaoke.
Oh, you do love it.
You couldn't tell? I was the one hamming it up in the corner.
You weren't the one hamming it up. Jacob, who was sitting beside you, my roommate, was the one hamming it up.
But I was the one doing all the falsetto tracks that everyone's, because there was like 4 microphones for those who weren't there. It was a private karaoke room. I think it was.
Well, let's start here. I decided for my birthday I like to do something for all my friends, and I pay for it and I invite them out. I ordered the room for 9 p.m. and I said, give me the big room. I got there 9 p.m. One friend showed up at 9:30. So I was sitting in the room by myself like a loser. And then finally people show up at 10. But for an hour, I was just a loser on my birthday sitting in this giant karaoke room.
You know, rationally, if you tell people to show up at 9 to a birthday party, they're not going to show up at 9. Like, you know this. You are that person. Everyone is that person.
No, I show up on time.
Really?
Yes. And if I'm going to be late, I message people.
For a birthday party, though, if you say 9, that means 10. And I learned the lesson the hard way, which I guess you just learned yourself.
Well, it wasn't the hard way. I'm going to keep doing it.
And I'm surprised at 25 it took you to learn this lesson. I
mean, yeah.
I had my 21st birthday at like a cafe that I rented out and like bought wine for. Like my parents helped me pay for it. It was this whole nice thing that I was doing. Yeah. And I said 9, and at 9:05, no one was there. It was just me and my ex-wife. She was trying to stave off a panic attack, trying to explain to me what I just explained to you, that if you say 9, it's really 10.
Yeah.
It's next to Christie's Pits. Christie's Pits?
Which place?
In Toronto.
Okay, well, it doesn't exist anymore.
No, it doesn't exist anymore. It was
Okay.
it was a cafe. It doesn't exist anymore.
Okay, okay.
It was called the Linux Cafe. It's a nerdy, not important.
Okay.
So at 9:05, I go to the park, Christie Pitts, doesn't matter.
Christy Pitt, yeah.
And my ex-wife is like, David, calm down. And I proceed to throw up. That's how anxious I am.
That's so, I wasn't like anxious. I was just pissed off. I was like, okay, well, none of you are getting any cake.
I didn't end up eating any.
Yeah, I punished everyone. No cake for you guys. You're going to show up late. You get half of the party.
I didn't eat any, but it did look good.
It was really good. You missed on two perfect birthday cakes.
But here's what happened to me at 21, and here's what happened to you at 25. Definitely not 38. Everyone came at 10, and I had a great party. And I feel like that's what happened. We had a great karaoke party. It was one too many people, and it was absolutely insane. Like, that was insanity in the room. You looked at me not because I was having a bad time, but because I was on the verge of a panic attack, being trapped in a tiny room with 5,000 people.
I agree. There was too many people. What's crazy is there's so many people I didn't even get to invite. And I felt like upset and bad about. And people showed up that I didn't invite. Like, does everyone need to bring a friend? You all know each other. Don't bring friends. It's a limited space.
People are bringing their friends? Rude.
You're the only couple, you and Miranda were the only couple that I had, like, I was like, yes, together you guys could come. The rest of the people came with their partner. And I'm like, I don't know your partner. They're not invited. Miranda's special, okay?
Good. I'm going to tell her you think she's special. I mean, she knows she's special. I mean, you have to be quote unquote special to date me, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah, but she's like real special. She's not like special.
We all have our faults, what can you do?
Yeah.
Karaoke though. So I'm at a July 4th getaway a year ago.
Mm-hmm.
And someone brings a little karaoke thing and they're doing it on YouTube and it's just friends. And I'm like, ugh, I don't want to do this. Finally, they do this thing where you do like a mean karaoke song. You pick a song you think the other person will hate. And the person picked for me, because they knew I hated karaoke, Torn by Natalie Imbruglia.
Correct. Yeah. Imbruglia.
Imbruglia. That's a weird one. And so I'm like, oh my God, I'm going to die. I hate karaoke. So it starts playing. And I start singing the song normal in a falsetto voice, like in pain, not that good. And then the chorus comes and I start singing Torn like a death metal song. And the mic is so crappy, it's like breaking up and distorting. It sounds like I'm like, Torn. And I just had so much fun. And then later on, I went to karaoke at a bar in New York. I had a great time. And then at your birthday, that was my third karaoke, having recently decided I love karaoke.
Karaoke is actually really fun. I love it when people actually have good voices, and I love it when they have bad voices. My only issue with that particular karaoke place is when we walked in, those mics had an echo, and I was like, take the echo off.
That helps the bad people, though, right?
Yeah, no, it doesn't. It's really distracting.
I don't know. I think the echo kind of covers up for tone deafness.
No, I think it makes everyone harder to hear themselves, so they get worse.
I got to hand it to you, though. You are a terrible singer.
That is so rude.
And you are an amazing singer because you are so enthusiastic. You get into it. You're giving it your all and you suck. And it doesn't matter because it makes it even better. If you were just okay at karaoke, I would think you were annoying.
I mean, I think I sung the lower registered songs pretty well.
You were surprisingly on key at times and then not at others. Maybe that's your low register. But as you went up, look, I'm a bad singer too. Yeah.
No, I'm terrible up. I have an ex who's like a musician and he goes, you are tone deaf. And I was like, that's so rude. He's like, no, you are severely tone deaf. And I was really offended because, there's like that as a comedian, we've always wished we could sing.
Yeah. I will say this, Natalie, your boyfriend's totally unfair. You are just minorly tone deaf, like mildly, like ever so slightly.
Whatever. He's not my boyfriend anymore. So
I had a lot of fun. Your friends, were they all mostly comedians? Because they all were annoying.
No, they weren't. That's the crazy part. It was like 50% comedians and then 50% Jews.
It's the same 50%.
No, it wasn't, surprisingly.
Miranda said I have bad manners, and she texted you after the event because after I sung, I kept on going to the microphone, I have COVID. Because I thought it was a funny thing to say. And
she messaged me and I was like, I know he doesn't. I know he's just being annoying for the sake of being annoying.
Exactly. But did your friends, did they think I actually had COVID? Like, was anyone like...
No one was paying attention to you.
Exactly. People only pay attention to themselves and maybe you.
But remember, my friend did leave because he shit his pants.
He did?
Yeah.
Good for him.
He texted me. He goes, sorry, I had to leave. I just shat myself.
There was a time during karaoke, Miranda looked at me with the "did you fart" face, and I'm like, look, I didn't fart. I would admit it. Maybe it was that guy.
It was for sure that guy.
Oh, wow. What a birthday.
What a birthday.
Congratulations on being 25.
Thank you.
You look great. You sing great. You throw a great party. You've got wonderful friends with the exception of me. And thank you for including me.
Thank you for coming.
Karaoke. When you come to New York next time, we're doing karaoke together.
Well, you're not going to be there at the same time, but sure.
I might be.
Right. Maybe.
We'll see. We'll see.
We'll see.
We'll see. Natalie Norman. Find her online at Stalking Natalie, STALKING on Instagram.
Great.
Great. All right, our final guest of the day, intern on this show, Zach Zhang. We're going to catch up about Pokemon Go, where you've got to catch them all. If that sounds boring to you, it sounds boring to me, but we're going to have fun with it. And after that, we'll go through a stupid top 10 list titled, If a Woman is Highly Attracted to You, She'll Usually Display These 10 Subtle Behaviors. Intern Zach Zhang up next. We are back with our Pokemon Go correspondent, our intern, Zach Zhang, to discuss the goings-on of Pokemon Go. You see that pun?
Yes,
I did?
yes, I love it. I love it. We gotta go now. But yeah, it is a pretty big weekend for Pokemon Go. Zach Zhang here, by the way. It is a great weekend for Pokemon Go because Go Fest is happening. One of the most global events in Pokemon Go history. They have some challenges for the world to complete. They have exclusive monsters or Pokemon for you to catch during these times. And me and my family, we're just going to have a good time tomorrow. Go out, catch some good Pokemon, maybe get a shiny one, a powerful one even. And just meet some new people around the community, talk to them as well. Just have a good time this weekend.
You got to catch them all. This much I know. So walk me through Pokemon Go. You got the Pokemon, you got the Go. Is that how it works? Because I don't understand how it works.
Yeah, that's pretty much exactly how it works. You download the little app and you just go on your way around the community, search for little monsters that you can claim as your own.
Is it augmented reality? Like you shine your camera into a park bench, and there could be a Pokemon on the park bench, but only on the camera?
They do push this augmented reality feature a lot, but the only problem is, and this might just be for me personally, is that it just takes way too much phone power. I don't really have the most powerful phone, so I can only really run the bare minimum of Pokemon Go, which is exactly what I need. So I don't really need the extra augmented reality features where I point the camera and they just show up. I think it's fine how the game is.
Well, let's do some Pokemon Go coverage. This is a very important story that's very current. It happened in October of last year. In fact, I think it happened earlier than October, but the video was released in October. It's in Los Angeles, a city that you're an expert in. I know, Zach.
Of course, of course.
Did you hear this one? 2 LAPD officers ignored a police call because they were too busy playing Pokemon Go.
I have never heard that story, but it sounds ridiculous enough for me to believe it. Because back in 2016, when Pokemon Go first dropped, people were literally breaking into private property just to catch like a damn Snorlax or something.
Yeah, it was a Snorlax. A Snorlax and a rare Togetic?
Yep. Close enough, Logitech.
The story was actually from 2018, but the video was released last year. And these 2 LAPD officers were fired for ignoring a call. I forget. It was like maybe a domestic violence call. Like, it was a serious police call. It wasn't cat in tree.
My goodness.
So what do you make of that one? Would that be you? Is that why you don't want to become a cop? Because you're worried you'd be fired because you'd prioritize?
Oh, 100%. 100%. Yeah, I would definitely go down into the water and just grab myself a Dragonite first, or break into some random closed building just to grab myself one Caterpie. But what? Nah, I don't know. I don't support that stuff. You know, if you're gonna play the game respectfully. You don't go into people's ways. Don't like ruin someone's life over it. At the end of the day, it's just a game. You will have multiple chances to catch that Pokemon again.
I mean,
that is absolutely ridiculous.
People commit armed robbery all the time, but how often do you get a Snorlax? You know what I'm saying?
Nah, that's fair enough. You know, sometimes we just see too many domestic violence cases and armed robbery cases. You know, the police need a little break. They need to catch some Snorlax. They need some time to chill out.
So here's what I want to do with you. A heavily produced segment by our producer, Danny, who's an excellent producer. I've said the word produce 5 times now. She's like, what do you want to do with Zach? I'm like, we'll figure it out. So she sends me a top 10 list from a really terrible website of top 10 lists called hackspirit.com that I've never seen before. I thought we would go through a 10 list with you and we would comment on it. You ready, Zach?
Yep, let's do it.
The list is as follows. It's a little heteronormative. I don't know if you're into women. It's not even important if you're into women, but you're going through this with me. The list is titled as follows. If a woman is highly attracted to you, she'll usually display these 10 subtle behaviors.
Yes, I am clearly an expert at this field. Yeah.
I know, you're swimming in the fair sex. Number 1, she engages in genuine eye contact. I mean, is that subtle? I mean, I feel like if someone likes you, they look you in the eye. It's not subtle.
I think that's pretty general, right? I mean, I wouldn't be staring you in the face if I didn't like you or anything.
I'm always weird about eye contact. It's one of the reasons I don't mind doing Zoom interviews, because it's like when I interview people in person, I can't help but comment on the eye contact because every guest has their own eye contact and it freaks me out. Not important. Number 2, she laughs at your jokes. Again, I don't think that's that subtle.
Isn't that just being funny? What if you just made a funny joke, right? Like, I don't know if that's necessarily a sign that she likes you. She might just like the things that you're spitting.
I'm with you. I crack a lot of jokes. Occasionally they get laughed at, but I'm ugly and have a terrible personality. No one has a crush on me. Number 3, she mirrors your actions. Like that game you play when you're a kid, when you just say what they say after. What does that even mean, she mirrors your actions?
In the scope of, like, a body language, sure. I could see that. You usually mimic body language in order to get more respect or be more comfortable with that person. So I could see this being a thing.
So if I have fungus in my pelvic area and I have to scratch it on a date and then she scratches her pelvic area, that means we're in love? Is that?
Well, you know what? If she actually does that for you, then yeah, I think she's the one, man. Like,
this one, again, not so subtle. Number 4, she initiates contact. I feel like if someone likes me or not and they're always texting me and always calling me and always making plans with me, it should be obvious they like me. That's not...
Am I all of a sudden in love with all of my homies that I make contact with?
Only you can answer that, my friend. And by homies, do you mean Pokemon characters?
You know what? I mean everyone. 3D and 2D.
Oh, does not discriminate against the D. Number 5, she frequently compliments you. Again, not that subtle.
Not subtle at all. If she does frequently compliment you, I would say, yeah, maybe she got something going for you, because I would say us men don't really receive compliments like that.
Perhaps not. Number 6, she shows genuine interest in your life. Has the author of this article never met a woman before?
Have they? Yeah, that's what I'm about to question. Have they ever even contacted a person before? These seem like things your friends should just be doing for you in general.
Number 7, she gets a little nervous around you. That is the first subtle sign.
Yep, that's a subtle sign.
Only because they qualified it as a little nervous.
I mean, nervous always comes from a place of, I lost my train of thought. You know what? Just cut that out. I lost my train of thought.
I'm leaving it in, Zach. It's all staying in.
All right. You know what? That works too.
It's all going downhill from here.
Maybe if I remember, I'll add it to my at the end of the day type segment, you know?
Well, actually, earlier in the show, we talked about crushes in relationships. Are they okay or not okay? She's a psychotherapist, and she was saying crushes are okay as long as you're not inappropriate. I have one friend who I know has a crush on me, not because it's me, but because, like, I'm her type. Like, she likes weird, short, annoying Jewish guys. Whatever, not important. She's probably the only one who acts nervous around me, ever. I've never had anyone act nervous around me before.
How does that make you feel, David? Do you feel good about that?
Yeah, you know, it's good for the ego to have someone, because I'm not like a cool guy. I'm not like a guy that people have crushes on. So the fact that it's happened once, I was very, it made. Have you ever had someone had a crush on you, even if they're not your type or they're ugly or whatever?
Most of my crushing experience has really come from elementary school. Wow. I do remember like a couple, maybe like 2 people off the top of my head that did have a crush on me, and I was completely oblivious to it. So, oops, there went my chances, but whatever. Thinking about it now, it doesn't really matter.
I'm glad it was experiences you had in elementary school rather than dealing with now crushes that you have. Never mind, not important. Number 8, she teases you. Yeah, I mean, sure.
Sure.
What is that? Nagging, or what a stupid thing that, like, sexist, what is that book? The Game?
Like flirty nagging or something, I guess.
Flirty nagging.
Yeah, flirty nagging.
Number 9, she's comfortable with physical closeness. I feel like, again, not subtle. If you're on a date with someone and they keep on, like, touching your leg, isn't that a pretty obvious sign?
Yeah, that's a pretty obvious sign. A lot of these were not subtle, except that nervous one. What's the last one? Is there one more after this?
Number 10, she shows genuine happiness around you. So you're saying my mom has a crush on me then?
This is the worst list ever, David. Where do we pull this?
I feel like this author has never met a woman, but the author is a woman, Isabella Chase. Maybe she's a guy's gal, She's only ever hung around guys.
Yeah, or you know what? Maybe we just found out some secret lore about women that we never knew before, Some secret techniques that they use to subtly tell us that they like us.
Honestly, I think we just read the ChatGPT special. I think Isabella Chase just wrote to ChatGPT, list 10 things to show that a woman's highly attracted to you, and we just read an AI article.
Thinking about it, it kind of fits. It's pretty generic responses.
And if I look at other articles on this website, if you tolerate these 8 behaviors in a relationship, you lack self-respect and boundaries. I feel like these are just all AI titles, all AI lists, and yeah, that's what we...
Yeah, they seem to follow some sort of formula.
And this...
If blank, then blank.
This author's name is Tina Fey, but it's not the famous Tina Fey. It's just a random Tina Fey.
Maybe they're just using their name to get it up there.
We just fell victim to AI lists.
Yeah. How do you feel about that, David? I don't feel great about that. I'm not gonna lie.
Well, I pitch the thing as like, let's do it, but acknowledge that it's stupid and make fun of it at the same time. So I don't feel too duped, but if I read it like it was a serious list, like these doctors studied the psychology of these people and came up with...
Yeah, like you straight up got clickbaited into it, then that would have been an issue.
Yeah, if I got clickbaited, I'd be embarrassed, but I knew what I was doing. Zach, what a pleasure. Thanks for being on the show.
Hey, thanks for having me on. It's always a pleasure talking with you.
Oh, Zach Zhang, our intern. New graduate from Seneca College. What was your title, like degree? Radio broadcasting or?
Yep, radio broadcasting. Ontario College diploma.
It's pretty good. Woo! Pretty good. Well, that is our show. Thank you for listening. I'll be back next week, and you have yourself a wonderful day. But it's Friday, and we got a little tradition at this point. On Fridays, we sing. That's another week of This Is Going Well, I think, with David Cooper. Thanks for listening to all the stuff that I put out for you to listen to. I really appreciate that you tuned in to this show. I really appreciate it. I already said that. I hope you have a nice weekend and you see some of your family members if you're not estranged from them, because you should see your family or not. I don't care. I hope you will listen next week. If you don't, I won't do anything, because I'm not the boss of you. I'm not the boss of you, so do whatever you want. This Is Going Well, I think, is the name of the show. I should have probably stopped singing minutes ago, but here we are. I'm gonna continue for the rest of this 2-minute track. Regrets, I have many of them right now, but I don't know if I can stop singing yet. Okay, I can now.